1. Rafael Caro Quintero, the Ghost King of the Cartel. Wars. Rafael Caro Quintero isn't just a fugitive, he's practically a myth. In the 1970s and 80s, he was one of the architects of the Guadalajara cartel, back when the Mexican drug trade was transforming into a billion-dollar empire. He wasn't some street-level dealer, he was one of the men who helped industrialize the entire operation. But what made his name echo through history wasn't the drugs. It was the murder of DEA agent Enrique Kiki Camarena, one of the darkest moments in U.S.-Mexico law enforcement history. Camarena was kidnapped, tortured for hours, and murdered. A direct attack on the U.S. government. It sparked the biggest DEA manhunt of the decade and permanently changed how America handles cartel threats. Caro Quintero was caught, he was imprisoned, he had decades to serve. And then one day, in 2013, he was quietly released because of a legal technicality. The U.S. was stunned. The DEA practically fell out of their chairs. Mexico later admitted, yeah, that release shouldn't have happened. By then, Caro Quintero had already vanished into the mountains, a ghost hidden by cartel allies, corrupt officials, and an entire region that considered him a folk hero. Rumors spread constantly. He's in the jungle. He fled to the Golden Triangle. He's living like a king in a hidden ranch. The FBI offered $20 million, one of the largest rewards ever, and for nearly a decade, he was the most hunted man in the Western Hemisphere. He was finally captured in 2022, but his legacy still haunts both governments. He showed the world how one cartel leader could slip through the cracks and stay hidden in plain geography for almost 10 years. 2. Ruja Ignatova, the crypto queen, who became a ghost. Ruja Ignatova wasn't a gangster with guns, she was something much scarier. A brilliant fraudster with a PhD, charisma, and an ability to convince millions that they were investing in the future of money. OneCoin, her so-called cryptocurrency, promised wealth beyond imagination. People didn't just buy in, they evangelized it. Except there was no blockchain, no technology, no real cryptocurrency at all. She created one of the largest Ponzi schemes in human history. Roughly $4 billion vanished into her pockets and offshore accounts. Then, in 2017, she boarded a flight to Greece and disappeared. Not went into hiding, not switched apartments. She completely dissolved. No bank activity, no phone pings, no confirmed sightings. Some believe she had surgery and walks around with a new face. Others believe dangerous people she defrauded made sure she'd never be found. A few say she's living on a private island laughing at the rest of us. The FBI added her to the most wanted list because she didn't just commit fraud, she outsmarted governments around the world and vanished like a magician. She's the only woman currently on the list, and the mystery surrounding her is one of the most haunting in modern crime. 3. Michael James Pratt, the manipulator who turned dreams into nightmares. Michael Pratt didn't use violence in the traditional sense. He used deception. He ran a fake casting company that promised modeling careers, acting opportunities, and fame. Young women walked into what they thought was their big break and ended up in situations that destroyed them emotionally, psychologically, and legally. He filmed, coerced, trafficked, threatened, and for years he did it without authorities catching up. His operation expanded across multiple countries, moving girls from state to state like cattle. The FBI called it one of the most elaborate exploitation schemes they had ever investigated. And then, right as the cases piled up, Pratt vanished. He dumped phones, crossed borders, used new identities, and slipped out of reach like someone who had planned his escape years in advance. For nearly 4 years, his face was everywhere. News channels, airports, FBI announcements. When he was finally caught in 2023, he was hiding overseas, still trying to run operations through proxies. His arrest was a global sigh of relief, but the damage he caused earned him a permanent spot in the most wanted hall of infamy. 4. Octaviano Juarez Coro, the park shooter who sparked a citywide nightmare. Memorial Day celebrations are supposed to be peaceful barbecues, music, and family time. Juarez Coro turned one into a massacre. During a crowded gathering at a Milwaukee park, he confronted his estranged wife, escalated into rage, and opened fire in front of families, children, and bystanders. 2 people were killed, several were injured, the entire community collapsed into chaos. Juarez Coro fled immediately, disappearing into Mexico. His case dragged on for years with scattered sightings and false leads. The FBI suspected he had help, like safe houses, local support, maybe even cartel protection. It wasn't until 2022 that he was finally found, closing a chapter of fear for the victims and offering justice long overdue. 5. Arnoldo Jimenez, the husband who turned his wedding night into a crime scene. This is one of the most disturbing stories on the list because of how sudden it was. Arnoldo Jimenez got married. Hours later, prosecutors say he stabbed his new bride in the car after an argument, dragged her into a bathtub, and fled the country before the sun came up. It was a transformation from groom to fugitive in less than a night. Jimenez has been hiding in Mexico ever since, allegedly protected by relatives moving through neighborhoods where U.S. authorities struggle to operate. What makes his case so haunting is the domestic angle. It wasn't a crime syndicate or turf war. It was a moment of explosive violence in what should have been the safest day of their lives. The FBI believes he may still be living openly, blending into everyday communities, which makes the hunt both difficult and chilling. 6. Bhadresh Kumar Patel, the man who walked out of a murder like it was nothing. Patel's case reads like a horror movie with a quiet villain. He and his wife worked the late shift at a Dunkin' Donuts. Security cameras caught them walking into the back room, and only Patel walking out. Investigators found she had been stabbed multiple times. No scream, no commotion. Customers didn't hear a thing. It's the way he escaped that shocked everyone. He had no transportation, he had no known resources, he had no documented border crossings. He simply walked out of the building and evaporated. To this day, Patel is believed to be living either under the protection of extended networks or hiding inside communities where people follow strict cultural codes of privacy. His case is one of the FBI's most infuriating mysteries because he slipped away without leaving footprints. 7. Jose Rodolfo Villarreal Hernandez, the hitman commander. El Gato wasn't just a criminal, he was a commander. He allegedly led a team of assassins in Mexico, orchestrating hits with chilling precision. His reach extended into the U.S., where he ordered the high-profile murder of a man in Texas. Authorities describe his organization as a hybrid, part cartel, part hit squad, part corrupt intelligence network. He managed to avoid police raids, drone surveillance, informants, and even rival cartel assassins. For years, he was a ghost with claws. His addition to the most wanted list triggered one of the most intense international manhunts. He was eventually captured in 2023, but during his time on the run, he represented the most lethal kind of fugitive, one with money, soldiers, and influence. 8. Alexis Flores, the alias. King and child killer Flores' case is the one that breaks people's hearts the fastest. He kidnapped and murdered a 5-year-old girl in Philadelphia. It took years before DNA finally linked him to the crime. By then, he was gone, and not under his own name. He uses aliases like some people use outfits. Different names, different jobs, different cities, different countries. He blended into working-class neighborhoods, took handyman jobs, and vanished every time someone got suspicious. Flores is one of the most dangerous kinds of fugitives, quiet, patient, able to disappear into communities where no one asks questions. He remains one of the FBI's highest priority captures. 9. Yulan Adene Arcaga Carriers, the warlord of MS-13. Arcaga Carriers is not hiding in shadows, he's hiding behind an army. As one of MS-13's top figures in Honduras, he controlled assassins, drug routes, extortion networks, and the kind of violence that destabilizes entire regions. Authorities believe he travels with armed guards, armored vehicles, corrupt officials, and safe houses. His organization has a military-style hierarchy, making him almost impossible to reach without triggering gunfire. The FBI placed him on the list because of his cross-border influence, murders in the U.S., drug trafficking, and an ability to rebuild operations even after massive crackdowns. Catching him is not a matter of locating him, it's a matter of surviving the attempt. 10. Danilo Cavalcante, the Spider-Man escape artist. Cavalcante committed a brutal murder, stabbing his girlfriend more than 30 times in front of her children. Capture didn't stop him. He escaped prison in a way that stunned the entire nation, and he climbed between two walls, chimney style, pushed himself onto the roof, ran across it, and vanished into miles of Pennsylvania woods. For 2 weeks, he transformed into a survivalist fugitive. He stole food, he broke into homes, he stole a firearm. He evaded hundreds of officers using helicopters, dogs, and night vision equipment. It felt like watching a real-time thriller unfold. He was eventually caught, but his escape rewrote how prisons think about secure walls. The most wanted list exists because fugitives survive on anonymity. Take that away and they lose their advantage. These 10 fugitives represent mass killers, cartel leaders, international scammers, exploiters, hitmen, escape artists, and ghosts who vanish into thin air. They're reminders that danger doesn't always look like a movie villain. Sometimes it looks like a businessman, a neighbor, a husband, or a charismatic genius. The FBI's list is not just a warning, it's a call to the world to pay attention. Because history has shown one thing clearly: no fugitive stays hidden forever.